First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, the Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And this is an article that I came across today, November 10th, from rtnews.com. And more signs, okay, of prophecy, more signs of the end times, as we know, pursuant to the book of Ecclesiastes, the third chapter. It talks about how there's a time and a season for everything. Okay, there's a time of love, there's a time of hate, there's a time of gathering and, scattering. All right, and there's a time of peace and there's also a time of war. And right now, what we can see is we are in, all right, that time of war, which is why you're seeing all of these. You're actually seeing wars, rumors of wars, and also preparations, all right, by different countries and different, um, different countries and different nations, all right, for war. All right, most of the time they're concerned about being ready when the war does pop off. So as you can see, Iran, as it says here, Iran has developed hypersonic weapon top commander. Okay, and this is something that is very threatening to the U.S. and Israel. Now it says the ballistic missile is reportedly capable of maneuvering inside and outside the atmosphere. Iran has developed a ballistic missile capable of flying at hypersonic speeds, a senior military officer told journalists on Thursday. The weapon is designed to destroy enemy anti-missile defenses and can maneuver both inside and outside of the atmosphere, indicating its relatively long range. Once again, very threatening to the US and Israel, which have been, especially Israel, have been, you know, uh, very strong enemies of Iran. I mean, they've gone back and forth to the point where I believe at one point Iran said that they want to wipe Israel off the face of the planet Earth. So it says here, the news came from Amir Ali um, Hajizadeh. Hajizadeh? Hajizadeh. We'll call him Haj. It says the commander of the Aerospace Force of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC. He spoke to journalists on the sidelines of a commemorative event dedicated to his predecessor, Hassan Tarani Moghadam, who is credited with launching Iran's long-range ballistic missile program. Now, we are yet to see how, like I said, Israel and or the U.S. is going to react to this, but we know that pretty much the way the U.S. has been reacting, for the most part, is through sanctions. But it's going to get to the point where that's not going to do anything at all. Okay. Now it says here, Haj stressed that the technology to intercept hypersonic missiles was unlikely to be developed for decades. So to have a missile defense system that would be able to guard you against hypersonic missiles is, like he's saying that countries are unlikely to develop that for decades, which means that for countries that have the technology to develop these hypersonic missiles, they can be very, very dangerous. It says, but offered no further details about the purported new weapon system. All right. It says here, hypersonic weapons come in various designs, but are all capable of withstanding extreme conditions of flying through the atmosphere at speeds exceeding 5 times the speed of sound. All right, so faster than 5 times the speed of sound. Only a handful of nations, such as Russia, China, and the US, have the technology necessary to build such weapons. So now, as we're about to read in Joel, the third chapter, you'll see why it says, let the weak say, I am strong. Because if only a handful, right, we listed Russia, China, US, these are, pretty much like world superpowers. Now, if only a handful of them are able to have the advanced technology to build such weapons, and now you have Iran that's able to build such a weapon, guess what? Now they possess the danger that at first only these three would have. Okay. So it says here, Iran invested heavily in developing missile capabilities since its decade-long war with Iraq in the 1980s. Tehran says its arsenal of weapons is a deterrent against possible aggression by the U.S. or its regional allies, including Israel and Saudi Arabia. Washington imposed a number of unilateral sanctions on Iran, some of which are directly linked to its missile tests. Okay, so as you can see now, clearly this indicates to you that we're not in a time of peace. When you build these hypersonic weapons, these nuclear weapons, these missiles, these countries looking for extremely expensive missile defense systems, you got to ask yourself, right? Why? It's almost like if maybe the block that you live on, everybody just started purchasing weapons. All right, AR-15s and AK-47s and pistols and different types of rifles, sniper rifles. People getting bulletproof vests, shields, riot shields. You know, buying helmets, grenades. What do you think? What do you think is gonna occur in your mind? Two things. Number one, clearly something must be getting ready to go down. And number two, if and when it does go down, I cannot be armless, right? I cannot be defenseless. I need to start getting me some stuff. So pretty much it's kind of like that happening on a world scale, on a global scale. All right, because we're at the point of this war of Armageddon, this third world war, and it's exactly as the name says, a world war. So it's going to involve a lot of different countries and their allies. Now, this is the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. It says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, which are these other nations, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up." So that's what is happening now. We're no longer in a time of peace. So you have different levels of arms race. You have armies preparing their troops, calling reserves, you know, waking up the mighty men, the men of war, getting them ready. It says, "Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears," which is not literally where meaning that they're going to take actual plowshares and keep hitting it with a shovel until it turns into a sword. All right, it's a poetic way or a metaphorical way of referring to in them building up their war arsenals. Okay, so instead of focusing on more tools that are used during times of peace, they're focusing on weapons that are used during a time of war. So as you'll see, you're not gonna see like Iran or Russia come out and tell you that they developed a new I don't know, a new plow that can, I don't know, something along those lines. All right, they're more so coming out and letting you know they developed a new hypersonic missile or a new nuclear defense system or a new missile Satan 2 and all of these things. Because what? We're in a time of war. It says, "Let the weak say I am strong." Why is that? Because, like, for example, in the ancient world, when they went to war, pursuant to Isaiah 9 and 5, the first part of it, right, you would have one army against the other army. And if you were a small nation and you were going to war against a larger nation, chances are you wouldn't really win unless you had support from another nation, right, to add to your numbers. In this case, war is not fought like it was in the ancient world. So even a small country can acquire weapons of mass destruction and do the equivalent, if not more damage than a large country. So countries that would be considered weak, whether militarily or financially or whatever the case is, if they can acquire these kinds of weapons, they can say that they're strong because they can do just as much damage. It says, "Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat," which in the Hebrew is Yahweh-Shaphat, all right, meaning the Lord's judgment. "For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about," which is there in the Middle East, all right, because that's where the Lord is going to have these nations gathered, all right, and as it says, to judge all the heathen round about. So that means that you are going to have drafts, pursuant to Second Ezra, the 16th chapter, and they are going to be sending people over there, mobilizing them and sending them over there, And when they get there, well, they're not really coming back. Now, this is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 15, verse 30. And when you read Second Ezra, the 15th chapter, getting, I'd say, around the 25th verse or so on down, it starts to go into World War III. But it's worded in a very, in almost like a dark saying. All right, so it's not really direct. It uses similes and metaphors to describe the armies and the war and the missiles and all of those things. But in verse 30, it talks about the Carmanians, which when you look it up, the Carmanians go back or are the Persians. Okay, the Elamites and the Persians, which are the same people, and so which Iran, that's who they are. They're Persians. Okay, so the Carmanians in modern day is referring to the Persians. All right, which Iran, one of the nations is Iran, and they go back to the Persians, right? So as it says, also the Carmanians raging in wrath. So they've there's some things have happened to them that can trigger them to get into that wrath and get into war, but they've withstood or had some self control in that sense. However, this indicates that when this war pops off, all right, there are going to be some series of events that are going to take place that is going to cause these nations to be dragged into that war, Iran being one of them. And as it says, raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them. All right, so they're going to join the war. It says, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, which in this sense, the Assyrians is not talking about the ancient Assyrians. It's talking about the modern day Assyrians, which is America. All right, the prophetic Assyria is another name or reference to America, just like Babylon. All right, or the daughter of Babylon, when referred to in prophecy, is referring to America. All right. So there you go. All right, these articles, I mean, these notifications, these breaking news, these headlines, they're letting you know the signs of the times. All right, what time are we living in? Well, clearly, if they're developing hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, nuclear missiles, we know we're not in a time of peace. All right, and according to biblical prophecy, these missiles are going to be used in a very dangerous way. So anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Wadash. Until next time, Shalom.